What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
I like you. I like sex. It's nice.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Today we are looking at some Diablo 4 and this is going to be a build guide for the Barbarian, how to complete the beta with an OP Thorns Barb. I've played through the game on the Wizard, or the Sorceress, I guess as it's called now, Sorcerer. I've played through on the Rogue, and the Barb actually was the easiest of all the classes. I've seen a few videos doing around saying that Barb is not very good. I don't think that's the case. I think the Barbarian is actually really strong. This build is a Thorns build. I got a tip that Thorns actually was really powerful, and yeah, I can confirm that is true. The build is fantastic at killing actually big areas of monsters, as you'll see in the Cursed Chest clip that we're playing now. Really good at taking on waves of enemies. It's also very fast at killing bosses. Bosses will destroy themselves pretty quickly. Unfortunately, I didn't capture the footage, but I managed to beat the Butcher at like level 13, completely face tanked him. What I will show you though is the Snowy Stronghold, the one in the like ice region. That is definitely one of the harder things to do in the game, and we can just stand there and completely face tank the boss. Very tanky build. He kills himself with reflect damage and thorns, which is quite fun. So yeah, Barb, very tanky, no skill required, no item required, no brain power required. It is a very, very good time. Before we do jump in and look at the nuts and bolts of the build and the gear, as always guys, thumbs up brightens my day. And do subscribe. Going to have some more Diablo 4 beta videos coming in anticipation for next weekend. Right, so the Thorns Barbarian. Unfortunately as well, my camera's not working at the moment. The beta is causing a lot of problems with technical issues and stuff like that. But I guess if we jump in and look at the skills. Now, the way the skill tree works, as we covered in the Sorcerer video, is you've got to put a couple of points into your basic skill to move down to the next node of the core one. What we're going for here is Flay, because this is the one that gives us a little bit of thorns. So flay the enemy, dealing 20 damage and some bleeding damage over time as well. But we've got a 10% chance to make an enemy vulnerable when using a two-handed weapon, which we are. And then we also get this stacking effect. We get 3% damage reduction and 30 thorns for 3 seconds. Stacks up to 4 times. So 120 thorns out of our flay. So we've actually got 1 point to 3 points there. Moving down to the Hammer of the Ancients. So this is in the core skills. I think really any of these core skills would probably be okay. I personally think Upheaval looks really cool. The way you kick up the ground in front of you is very nice. But I've gone for Hammer of the Ancients because the node here allows for some extra fury generation after we hit with it. We also get more damage based on how much fury. We've got a lot of fury generally. We're normally at full because we've got something else that synergizes with it, so it is a little bit more damage. I did toy with the idea of taking like all the points out of this and just improving the rest of the build, but like for things like treasure goblins, for when you have to destroy, you know, barriers, ice barriers, or static things that don't attack you, then it is worthwhile having some form of spender. I don't think it makes particularly much difference if you find a nice item that grants you a extra skill level to Upheaval, go for it. It's definitely going to be the least important thing. The Hammer of the Ancients does smack. It is pretty hard hitting, and it's a lot of fun to like absolutely bash stuff. We've got a few unlocks here from gear. I haven't used these skills, albeit we do have the points unlocked. Now as we get enough points, we then move down to the defensive skills. Now we have actually taken one here. This is going to be the Challenging Shout. We taunt nearby enemies, gaining 45% damage reduction for 8 seconds. So we basically get almost like half the damage taken, which is great. But also what we've got with the modifiers that we've picked is that we get 20% bonus life when we activate it. So again, makes ourselves nice and tanky when we do pop it. But we also get 50% thorns equal to our maximum life. So the more max life we have, the more thorns we have when this is up. So you pop this, it encourages all the enemies to attack you. You get extra life, you get big thorns, and they all basically kill themselves, which is how the whole thorns kind of build works. Also off this node, we've got here gain Thorns with the outburst. This is like a passive one. We gain Thorns for every 15 points of maximum life we have. So again, synergizes really well. More max life is more Thorns. And then we've actually gone for tough as nails. Increase Thorns by 60%, which is obviously a pretty big deal when enemies hit. So as soon as we take that first hit, we then get 60% increased Thorns, and it gives an extra additional 1% of your Thorns as bleeding damage over 5 seconds. So again, this tots up to a nice little bit of Thorns damage for us. Moving down to the brawling skills, again, you need enough points to make this bridge here. Once you do, what we've gone for is Leap. This is just here as a mobility skill, so just a single point in it. Did toy with putting this one here for the enhanced leap, so we basically get time off the cooldown if we hit something. It's basically used for jumping out the way of a telegraph attack. It's used for maybe jumping over something. It does a little bit of damage, but we don't really worry too much about it. And the rest of these things I've just basically left off. I think leap's better than charge because it allows you to get over stuff, whereas charge is pretty much, going through. Moving down to the weapon mastery, I haven't actually taken any of these things. Rupture, Death Blow, Steel Grasp, none of these side nodes either. Thick Skin could be a good defensive one. We gain some life as Fortify whenever we take damage. But I think we didn't have anything for Thorns in any of these nodes. Again, maybe we could come back and put some more points in as the character progresses. And that is pretty much it, because at the moment we're only level 19. We will of course be able to complete up to level 20, get the cosmetics, and absolutely no problem. Out of the ultimate abilities, I'm probably going to try the Call of the Ancients. I've heard that's really good. And then again, as you go down to the passive, there's not really much I think that looks in here that would be beneficial. But it's pretty budget. We're only really taking a few skills, not many buttons to press, and yeah, pretty easy peasy. So anything that buffs up toughness, anything that buffs up life, anything that buffs up Thorns is going to be pretty good. This also follows for the gear. Now I have actually had better drops on Barb playing through. We've had a fair few legendary items. The trick really is to find things that have got Thorns on them, or to put in the little green gem, the kind of like bluey green one that gives plus Thorns. So initially for the first bunch of levels, I had something that just gave Thorns. It had like an affix on it, plus 7 Thorns. That was fine. I didn't find anything else with Thorns on at all. I did check every single piece, so it doesn't look like it's the most common stat, but I just couldn't really find anything with it on. In terms of the legendary powers we've got here, none of this I don't think is actually particularly helpful, because as I say, we're just looking to stack Thorns and we're looking to stack toughness. We do get some Fortify here with Fury generated at max Fury with this particular legendary item. That was pretty useful. That does allow you to buff up your life, because fortified characters take 10% reduced damage, as we see at the bottom, and we become fortified when we've got more Fortify than current life. So you build up your Fortify on the outside of your health globe. As you then take damage, the Fortify activates and you get your damage reduction, which is pretty cool. We do have some damage reduction for bleeding enemies, so again that's why Flay was handy, because we do get the bleed off, so there is the chance for a little bit of damage reduction, which is nice, up to 18%. And then we also have crowd control enemies. We can spread that. I don't think we actually have any crowd control, but if we did have a way of getting stun off or something like that, then that legendary power there would handle that. Basic attacks granting 29% attack speed obviously is kind of useful, because it allows us to get the Flay faster. And then we've got one here with like kick charge. We're not using either of those. Now I don't know if I've just had good luck with these things for the increased attack speed, for the damage reduction. Obviously if you're playing Barb, you're going to get some Barb gear. What I would say is rolling your orb stuff, the Obol's Curiosity Vendor, past about kind of like level 15, I think seems to give a decent amount of legendaries. So you can try your best with that. Weapons wise, I've just been picking up anything that looks better. I recently just got this two-handed sword with a socket, so I'm going to do what we did on the sorcerer and put in a skull for some life on kill, just to keep us super topped up. But yeah, the build is really strong, really easy to play. We're just pressing challenging shout whenever we get to a decent group of mobs, and other than that we're trying to stack flay, build our thorns, build up some fortify, build up some fury, and then going from there. We have of course just completed the main missions, so we've now got the Vigo's protecting amulet, so I will slap that on, probably with some all resin for it or something like that, and then carry on the barb up to 25. But honestly, it was very, very easy to get all the stuff done. All the bosses died far faster than on the sorcerer. In fact, when we were battling them, they just seemed to just hit you and it kind of reflects and the thorns activate, and they die pretty quickly. It's quite funny because you just kind of stood there trying to get hit by the boss with all the mechanics, which is very different to the rogue and sorcerer when we played with those, because we were just praying not to get hit by stuff because, you know, we're a little bit squishy. The sorcerer not so much. Sorcerer's quite tough, but the rogue is a little bit squishy. But yeah, that was it. Really easy, really super fun, and yeah, it was a good time. So that is a Thorns OP beta build. Hopefully it'll get you to 20 with no problem. You can enjoy your time in Sanctuary. It's great for ranged enemies as well, because normally in ARPGs as a barb melee character, you're running from one side of the screen to the other trying to hit something, and you don't have to worry about that on this. It just simply reflects the damage back to them, and stuff that shoots you with arrows, chuck spears at you, well, they just end up dead because it whacks them and they get the thorns, which is really nice. I've been the Filthy Casual. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again real soon. Take it easy, guys. Peace.